What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you guys, and today I'm here to talk about 20 horror movie Blu-rays to own in your collection. If you guys like this video, let me know at the end, and I'm thinking about doing a part 2 maybe towards October, the Halloween season, my favorite time of the year. I love horror movie Blu-rays. I love getting movies that are classics for me. Those are, worthy ones to own on Blu-ray. And now 4K, which you're going to see some 4K titles in here, but they have Blu-ray combos with them. But I love collecting movies that I grew up with on Blu-ray. You went from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray. I love that, but I also love collecting movies that are obscure, maybe movies I haven't seen before, or movies I saw a long time ago that I'm like, okay, these are worth owning on Blu-ray. So I have a lot of mixed bag of different companies in here. I'm not just focusing on Scream Factory or, a certain company. I think these are just 20 horror movie Blu-rays that are worth owning. So if you're getting into collecting Blu-rays or even say collecting 4Ks, like I mentioned, there's a few in here. These are definitely worth owning. Mostly Blu-rays because, 4K is still, pretty much new, and they're, horror movies on 4K are rare to come by. They haven't released a lot of them yet. So these are just mostly Blu-rays. So these are 20 of them. These are the ones I love. Of course, I love a lot more, but I love the transfers on these, the bonus features, or just maybe even the packaging. I mean, there's some great titles in here. So if you're a fan of these, or if you're interested in getting them, definitely do so. I think most of them are definitely still in print. Some might be out of print, but if you kind of look, you might be able to find a different version of the movie that has the same transfer, which I'll kind of go over some of those once I get to them. But most of these are still really available to pick up. So going into my number 20 is going to be a film out of a series, and I could have picked the first movie because I think that movie has a great transfer, and I'll probably do that in my next video like this. But I went with the third movie in this series. I think it's an underrated one. Now, when I first saw it, the first couple times, I wasn't a fan of this movie. Now, getting older and watching it, like watching it last October, I absolutely love the movie. I think it's great. I think it's eerie and creepy. There's definitely some classic moments that will creep you out. You probably have seen some of them through clips on YouTube. But yeah, I love this movie. That's The Exorcist III. So this is a great release from Scream Factory. I was lucky to get the slipcover from my buddy Doug. He gave it to me. I know the slipcover you can't get now. It's been out, about 3 or 4 years now. But if you're just wanting to get the movie, which is the most important thing about it, it's worth owning on Blu-ray. Scream Factory did a great job because they released 2 cuts of the movie. You have the Exorcist III, which is the theatrical cut, and then you have the director's cut, which is just called Legion. That is the director's preferred version of the movie, and there's definitely differences. I mean, the endings are different, there's scenes that are different, casting is different, so it is definitely 2 movies that are fun to go back and watch because you get to see the comparisons of how different they are. For instance, I'll probably be watching Legion this October coming up, but I think this is a great release. You get some really great bonus features, actors, directors, well, not the director, but you get, film crew members coming back and talking about the movie, talking about the difficulty reshooting scenes, what the studio wanted to do. This wasn't supposed to be a film with a exorcism scene in it, so they actually had the director go back and towards the end of the film do an exorcist scene. So that was interesting to find out. Really good interview with Brad Dourif. I think it's great. This is just an overall really good Blu-ray to own. If you're a fan of this film, say you have the DVD and you want to upgrade, it's worth picking up. I think it is great. So you do have, of course, with Scream Factory, different artworks. So you got the new artwork and you got the original artwork, which flips over to this artwork there. So Like I said, the slipcover, you know, you probably can't find it now. Maybe if you search for it, maybe eBay, I know sometimes you can find them on there. But just for the movie itself and the Blu-ray, it's worth picking up. Going into my number 19 is Psycho. Now, I could have went with the Psycho 2, which I think is a awesome Scream Factory release. Again, maybe in the future you'll see that in another video. Maybe even Psycho 4. I think those are really good. They're all really good, by the way. But the first movie's Transfer is still hands down the best. I think this is a perfect example of if you're wanting to get into collecting horror movie Blu-rays and say getting your favorite movies, Psycho has a great transfer. Great bonus features on it. I love the making of where they talk about going in and redoing the movie as far as the transfer goes. They took an actual film reel of the film and went back and did such a great job with this release. You know, it'd be amazing if they were able to kind of say like do a 4K of it and even upscale that, or even do a better transfer. But I think Psycho is hands down a great Blu-ray to own, and it's crazy that this is almost 10 years old, this transfer. Now I have the steelbook here. There's many editions of Psycho to get on Blu-ray. You can get it in the Alfred Hitchcock box set, which I have that as well. You can get the standard alone Blu-ray, which is available. In my opinion, it's definitely worth getting on Blu-ray if you're a fan of this film. Number 18. Now this almost went higher, and could have went higher, but I think all these 20 Blu-rays that I'm going to be talking about are, some of the best, hands down. But this is a really good Blu-ray to own. It's a 4K scan, but I love that J.J. Abrams was able to get with the director, Don Casarelli. I'm probably saying his name wrong. His last name wrong. But I'm talking about Phantasm. Now, I think all the Phantasm movies look great on Blu-ray, but hands down the best one is the first movie. Now, Phantasm 2 has a great Blu-ray just because that was the first time that really ever got a US release, or a Blu-ray release. I know they released a DVD of that a long time ago. That was a great Blu-ray, though, when they released it. But Phantasm, the first movie's transfer, is amazing. This is a must-own for any Phantasm fans. It is available. Now, this came in a box set that I own, but there's different editions of this movie. Walmart, I know, has like the standard release of this for like $5 in a $5 Blu-ray bin. So I really think, in my opinion, this is definitely worth owning if you're a fan of the movie, or if you're wanting to just own something new on Blu-ray, a new horror movie on Blu-ray. Phantasm's worth owning. It's a slow burner of a movie, but for me, it's one of my favorite films. I absolutely love it, and I think the transfer alone is worth getting on Blu-ray. Number 17. Now, this is a recent one that came out from Scream Factory. I love this for the bonus features. I think they're great. They really got a lot of directors. They got the director, crew members, and a lot of cast members to come back and talk about the movie. But what I love is you get both versions of the film. So you get the theatrical cut and the unrated cut, which of course, in my opinion, the unrated cut is the best way to go. But what I love about this release is they took the unrated Blu-ray, which was available before from Lionsgate, and did a fantastic transfer to where the picture just flows better, and it doesn't seem odd when you see like some of the unrated footage in the movie, and they just took a clip of it and they put it in there. Pretty much this is the one to own as far as watching the unrated cut goes. It's available. It flows nicely, like I said, compared to the Lionsgate Blu-ray. And I'm talking about My Bloody Valentine. I'm a huge My Bloody Valentine fan. I have been ever since I saw it on the old Paramount DVD, which was the theatrical cut. Last year, my old Lionsgate Blu-ray pretty much went kaput, and I was never able to watch the unrated cut again. So, I didn't want to go out and pay too much money for another Blu-ray of that Lionsgate one, because it was always expensive. So I remember coming across a DVD, I got it, it was the unrated DVD, but I always wanted this movie on Blu-ray again because it is one of my favorite horror movies and slasher films. I'm glad Scream Factory released this because this is fantastic. I mean, if you're a Scream Factory fan, if you're a fan of this movie, or if you're a fan of horror movie Blu-rays and you don't own this edition, I'd say it's worth upgrading even if you have the old Lionsgate Blu-ray. Like I said, with the unrated cut, those scenes that they put back into the movie flow so much better now. It looks better. It really does. So when you're watching this, those unrated scenes don't stand out. Where that old Blu-ray and old DVD, even though they were great for the time that they came out, you know, they're nothing compared to this one. I mean, I think this is hands down the best one you're going to want to get. So, but yeah, I love this movie. Fantastic. It's a very eerie film. I think it's one of the best slasher movies to come out. And definitely worth owning. So I'll just show you what it looks like. Original artwork there, which is one of the best things. And that's why I love Scream Factory, is they usually, most of the time, will have the original artworks to go with. And I own, let me get it, the other alternative slipcover. So very cool. Going on to number 17. This was a great release from Synapse. I'd say 2012 was when this came out. And like My Bloody Valentine, this is the first time you got to see, well, not this Blu-ray of My Bloody Valentine, but this was the first time you got to see the movie unrated. And, you know, I remember having the DVD with the, you know, really odd DVD artwork. It was like a red artwork. Once I talk about the movie, you'll know what I mean when it comes to the old DVD. But this is the first time you got to see the director's cut. And this is the one where they added a lot of those kills, a lot of the gore back in the movie. Where in the theatrical cut, that old DVD, a lot of that was cut out. So I was very happy to get this. I was at Horror Hound in 2012 or 2011. And had to own this. That is Intruder. Now this is the Synapse release, and I know there's different releases of this movie out there now, but this is the one I recommend if you can get your hands on it. The director's cut is the one to go and watch. I love when companies will try their best to release alternate cuts, director's cuts, added stuff that you did not see in previous releases before. I love when they go full out like that. And this is definitely worth owning. Not just for the director's cut itself. The bonus features are great. The packaging's awesome. This is one of Synapse's best releases out there. I own a lot of them. I'm a big Synapse fan. I don't own a lot of them, but I own a good amount of them. And the ones I do own, I love the Blu-ray releases. They're amazing. Like the Dorm that Drip Blood, not in this video. I'll probably talk about that later on. That's a great release. You know, Maniac's another great one. Yeah, Intruder. Probably their best. Well, I take that back because there's another one on here that I think is definitely hands down their best release, but Intruder's definitely one of the best. Now we get into Vinegar Syndrome. Now, I love Vinegar Syndrome just because they always release great obscure titles on Blu-ray and DVD. I own a great amount of them, and I think I have a few of them in this stack. Maybe one, maybe a few of them, maybe a couple of them. But this one I had to throw in here just because I grew up with this movie. It never had a DVD release before. I had the VHS, which I remember buying on Amazon for like $15 for the longest time, because I remember constantly as a kid renting this on VHS. So when I can only get a VHS copy of it, say back in like 2009, that was the only way of getting it. Now they released it on Blu-ray and DVD in this great edition. Right now I think it's out of stock. Hopefully they'll release more later on. But say if you come across it on eBay or on Amazon, it's worth owning. That is Witch Trap. Love Witch Trap. Another great one. One of my favorites. It is a so bad, well, I wouldn't even say it's so bad it's good. In my opinion, it's not a so bad it's good movie. It's just a good time of a film. I love Witch Trap. This is a great release. And I believe This is actually unrated. I could be wrong. Maybe they threw in some additional gore scenes that they were able to find from an old film reel of it. But this is fantastic. Not only do you get amazing bonus features from the director, Linnea Quigley, you also have an amazing transfer. And it's the first time it's been released on DVD and Blu-ray in a combo pack. I love this movie. Again, it's really cheesy. Some people would probably consider it so bad it's good. I don't. I just think it's a really fun time. Witch Trap, I always thought it was associated with Witchboard and Witchboard 2, but it's not. It's actually its own movie. But the funny thing about it is the same villain who was in Witchboard is the same villain in Witch Trap. But yeah, I love it. It's cheesy. I love the bonus features. I love the director talking about the movie just because they really had a hard time post this movie when he, went back and pretty much the camera did not pick up on the sound. So the actors had to go in and pretty much dub their stuff. So, it looks dubbed. And you think it would probably be like a foreign movie, but it's actually not. It's actually an American film. They just had to go in and pretty much re-record their voices, and it looks dubbed. So I love Witch Trap. Definitely worth owning. It's a must. Let's kind of go through these pretty quick. I love talking about these though. But the next one is, and this is number 16, I believe. We're just going to keep going. But The Changeling, a great release from Severance Films. See, I love different companies. The Changeling is one of my favorite haunted house, supernatural, ghost films. Very subtle one, nothing really happens too much, but the stuff that you do see is very creepy. I love this movie though, love this Blu-ray, the transfer's amazing. I never thought this movie would get a treatment like this, just because for the longest time the only way you can get this movie was in a snapper case DVD, and I thought that was the only release you were going to get because this is a very underrated movie. Not a lot of people talk about it, but this is fantastic. It is amazing. You got some great bonus features. Sorry about that glitch, guys. You got some great bonus features, and this is definitely worth owning. Going on, number 15 is Blood Rage from Arrow Video. So this is awesome. Another great one. I love this as well. First time this movie has ever had a DVD and Blu-ray release. It is I believe, a DVD Blu-ray combo. But I love Blood Rage. You can get the UK version. There's also a US version of this edition of Blood Rage. I don't know where I'm going with that. But Blood Rage I love. It is a fun Thanksgiving watch. It's a slasher movie based around Thanksgiving. So cool there. But yeah, awesome release of this. Great transfer. Really fun slasher movie. It's so campy, but it's so good. So if you are a fan of slasher movies, this is worth owning. Going on, number 14, I believe. We're going to keep going, like I said. Number 14 is Prom Night, another Seven release. Prom Night's one of my favorite slasher movies. This was one of the first ones I saw outside of the mainstream franchises. I had so many editions of Prom Night. I had the really bad transfer where you could not see anything in the movie. It was so darkened. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know how it got so bad. But then I had the upscaled DVD, which looked really good. Like, you could see things, and it felt like you were watching the movie for the first time. But then you have this Blu-ray, and I think this Blu-ray is definitely the one to get. If you're a fan of Prom Night and you have any of those DVDs prior, this is worth picking up and upgrading for. Prom Night looks amazing on Blu-ray. It's one of my favorite releases. I'm a big fan of this movie. I love this movie for about 15 years now, and I love the making of. It has a really good making of the film too, about 40 minutes talking about the film. They get the director, the crew, the actors coming back and talking about it. No Jamie Lee Curtis, but you do get pretty much the entire cast overall coming back, and it's worth owning. Going on, we have Mirror Mirror. Now, Mirror Mirror is a very obscure horror movie. Not a lot of people know about this. Frankly, you know, I don't hear a lot of people talking about it except for, you know, a rare few horror movie fans. But Mirror Mirror, this is the first time it's gotten a Blu-ray release. Now, it does have an Anchor Bay release. You can get the collection, or if you have it, you have the collection, which has this movie and its sequels, or the standard release of the movie. But this is the first time it's been released on Blu-ray. It's amazing. Again, it's not one I watched too much. I had the old box set, and I got rid of the box set just because I wasn't a fan of the sequels. And it'd been a long time since I had seen Mirror Mirror. But rewatching Mirror Mirror, I loved it even more. And it almost felt like I was watching the movie for the first time, just because the transfer is amazing. It does lack in features. There is a great interview with the director and writer of the film, but overall, I think it's just worth owning for the transfer itself. Amazing. And you get a really cool slipcover, which I love. No different artwork, but that in itself, I love that cover art. And there's the back for you. Going on, we have a Scream Factory release. I love Scream Factory. I think they release fantastic films, but I love when they can release movies that have yet to get a Blu-ray and sometimes DVD release. But with this case, this is a film that got a Blu-ray release for the first time. The previous DVD that was out, a bare bones DVD, while it was cool to have just because you got to watch the movie, again, like with the Prom Night DVDs before, especially the earlier DVDs of Prom Night, you could barely see anything in this movie's previous DVD release. So when Scream Factory released it on Blu-ray, I was just so happy. That's The Final Terror. Again, kind of like with some of these movies, when you watch this Blu-ray, especially since it had a really bad transfer before, it's like you're watching the movie for the first time. I love The Final Terror. I think it's a very underrated slasher film, but it's also very suspenseful, thriller, you can call it even a thriller. The Final Terror is great. You have a great cast, you know, Daryl Hannah, her first movie, I believe. You'll see some familiar faces from previous or other movies and TV shows. But The Final Terror, if you're wanting to check this movie out, this is the one I recommend getting. I believe it's actually still available. I don't think it's out of print at all. But yeah, the best one to get. The transfer's amazing. And when I say amazing, the previous DVD release, you could barely see anything in the movie. It was almost unwatchable. But great transfer here, great interviews. Yeah, I love when Scream Factory releases these, you know, first-time Blu-ray releases. Those are the best ones. Now this is an out-of-print Twilight Times release. It's been out of print for a long time. This is the second release of the film. It's the 30th anniversary edition. However, there is another Blu-ray out there. You can pick it up, I think, on Best Buy's website or Amazon. It's my favorite vampire film. That's Fright Night. I had to throw this in here. I believe the transfers are the same, so like they just pretty much imported this transfer over to the new Blu-ray that's out. But this is the second Twilight Times release of Fright Night. Love Fright Night. It's, again, my favorite vampire film, and it's in my top 5 favorite films of all time. The transfer on this is stunning. I love the transfer. Love the sound. So good. Had the DVD. I had the VHS. I love this release. It's amazing. Great bonus content. They kind of lack... Twilight Times, they don't release too many bonus features. When they do, they release good ones. This one has a 40th anniversary or 30th anniversary convention panel. But the real thing to own is the You're So Cool Brewster documentary out there, where they talk about Fright Night and Fright Night 2, which is available on that new Blu-ray. So it's definitely worth picking up for that as well. But yeah, Fright Night, one of my favorite Blu-rays I own. Let's go through these pretty quick. I know the camera kind of stops at one point. 3 Criterions to definitely own that are horror movies. I love Criterion. I don't pick up every Criterion release just because, you know, they're not, in my opinion, worth picking up every release that Criterion releases. They're not worth getting. But when I do get Criterion releases, they are amazing. I love Criterion overall. They do release some great movies, non-horror movies as well, but if you're going to pick up horror movies that are Criterion releases, these are the three that I recommend the most. Carnival of Souls, just a very creepy movie, but a fantastic release. It's shot in black and white, but it looks amazing. Night of the Living Dead, a must-own. This is the release to get of this movie. I owned the previous Blu-ray, and it was really bad release of that movie. Cool to get it on Blu-ray, but this is the one to get. This is amazing, and this is like pretty cheap too. It's a really good price for that. And then Rosemary's Baby, a must-own. I love Rosemary's Baby. Slow burner again, like some of these other movies I mentioned, but it's very eerie, and this is a great release of the movie. This one, I don't need to talk about this one too much. A lot of people know about it, but that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I hope this gets a 4K release. I would pick it up, but this, along with the many editions that have come out, I own like 3 editions on this movie on Blu-ray. I own 3 of them, the 2 steelbooks as well. But this is a fantastic release. All the bonus content, new bonus features, old bonus features transferred over. The release, or the transfer itself, is worth owning just for that. So if you can't get this, and if you just want the movie and don't really want the bonus features, I recommend getting any of the Blu-ray releases that are out from Dark Sky. The ones that have come out in the past, I think 4 years, are the ones to get. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre, worth owning on Blu-ray. This is amazing. I know this limited edition one is out of print. I believe you can get the standard release of it. I wasn't even going to pick this up until I read some reviews on it, and it is my favorite werewolf movie. It's worth owning, and it's worth upgrading to this Blu-ray, and that is American Werewolf in London. I had to look at that for some reason. Love this. This release is amazing. Again, this is out of print, but you can get the standard release, which has the same transfer. Bonus features are transferred over, so you get all the previous bonus releases. I say definitely pick this one up. It is worth getting. Fantastic. I love it. So, yeah, definitely get it for the transfer. I was very surprised at how good it looked. Again, this edition's out of print, but you can get the movie from Arrow. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. This next one, we're gonna go through these pretty quick because I don't want this video to cut off. This is from Synapse. Amazing release. I'm going to show the Blu-ray and the 4K because I think they're both worth picking up. The steelbook is out of print, but you can get the Blu-ray anyway with its standard release. But you have Suspiria. This is the steelbook. Amazing transfer. The best the movie looked before the 4K came out, and if you have a 4K player, this is worth getting. I mean, it's worth getting for the transfer alone, and it has all the bonus features on it. The only downfall is it does not have the Blu-ray of the movie on here. So if you have Suspiria on Blu-ray, and if you want to keep the Blu-ray, either keep your steelbook or the other release that's out from Synapse. But Suspiria, a must. The detail on the 4K, just like the Blu-ray has a great detail, but the 4K's detail is stunning. So, love it. I don't need to talk about this movie too much. It's worth getting. Halloween on 4K and Blu-ray. The Blu-ray in this 4K release is amazing. If you had the Digibook before, or the standard one with, Michael's face on it, I think it's the 30th or 35th anniversary release of it. That's an amazing release, but the 4K is stunning if you own a 4K player, and if you're wanting to get 4Ks, this is worth getting. But if you just have a Blu-ray, it's worth getting anyway, so definitely recommend that. Halloween. And the last one, House of 1,000 Corpses, my favorite horror movie Blu-ray I own just for the transfer itself. Amazing. Real quick, for example, Captain Spaulding's makeup in the movie when you first see him is stunning, very detailed, worth owning. Check out and pick up this Lionsgate release. Very cheap. Anyway, guys, I don't want to cut the video off, or I don't want the video to be cut off, so I'm going to let you guys go. Hope you're all doing well. Have a great weekend. As always, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. In with the positive, out with the negative. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, and go eat some Skittles. All right, guys. Bye.